Welcome everybody to It Tastes Different Gaming Appetizers. What's on the appetizer today? Guess who's getting some Death Stranding? Xbox Game Pass for PC. All right. So before we get into it, make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit those notifications, and give us your thoughts here because we're going to talk about Death Stranding on Game Pass. So as of August 23rd, PC Game Pass, Death Stranding will be available. Everybody knows it's a Hideo Kojima game that's I'm just now getting into on the PlayStation. But the peculiar thing is, this is not the director's cut, the special edition that Sony put out 6-8 months back, whatever it was, a little longer. And people are not really caring, I don't think. I don't see anybody complaining about it. They're just happy to get some Kojima love. It's it was a real shock for me to see. This edition will come with a few special features. I'll let Nick get into that. I will definitely say did not see this one coming at all. I'm still like, what? So, Nick, why don't you tell them your thoughts on this and the special little goodies that this version actually will have?
Sure. So yeah, it is a surprising. It is surprising to see that this game is coming to Xbox PC Game Pass. What was surprising to me is I've played. excuse me, I've played through Death Stranding. I own it, and I've beaten the game. And one thing that I didn't realize, it really didn't dawn on me, is this game is published by 505 Games. It's not a Sony published title. For some reason, I thought it was. I always thought that it was a Sony published title, but it's not. It's a 505 game. So that makes sense as to why it can come to other, they might have had an exclusivity deal with Sony for a while. That would make sense, for a couple of years, it would seem, or probably, longer than that, right? But, that's clearly over with. And so now they can release it on other things. So could we see Death Stranding coming to Xbox? Possibly, right? Because it's not, unless Sony, which I doubt it, because it is coming to Xbox PC Game Pass, unless Sony owned the rights to Death Stranding as an IP. But it doesn't seem like they do, because I would assume this action to put it onto PC Game Pass is probably 505, the publishers, wanting to do that, right? So that would mean that more than likely the publisher owns the IP, or Hideo Kojima Productions owns the IP, and with Inklet, because this one is also 505 Games. It is the non-director's cut, which is kind of weird. But this game, so basically, since it is going to be on Windows 11, Windows 10, PC gamers can expect the ultra-wide modes, the photo modes, the high frame rates, crossover content, because there is some Half-Life content in here. During the trailer, you can see look like a Half-Life Strider, and then it looked like at one point there was like a head crab maybe, or something like that, or just something that looked like it had the Half-Life logo on it. Kind of looked like a head crab. Not sure what it was, but also you'll be able to get the Omni Reflector, Ludens mask, sunglasses, color variant, gold and silver power skeletons, gold and silver all-terrain skeletons, and gold and silver armor plates. As you'll be able to unlock in the game and stuff like that. So that's pretty much everything that's included into the PC version. Again, this is the regular version of the game. It's not the director's cut. The director's cut really just added some extra quality of life type improvements to the game. I never did play the director's cut version, even though I do own it. The original version was just fine. So I don't know if you would necessarily need the director's cut, but hey, if you own Game Pass for PC, now, if you don't own a Sony system, or you didn't never buy it from Steam, because it is on Steam, and you do have Game Pass for PC, then there you go. Now starting on the 23rd of August, you're going to be able to go download this and play Death Stranding. Death Stranding, I think, and we've talked about Death Stranding before on here. Death Stranding is it's a very unique game. It has its moments, but it overall it was a pretty good experience. It was a pretty cool experience, even though you are kind of a UPS FedEx guy going around, Amazon Prime package deliverer. Other than that, like the story and kind of the BTs and some of the other aspects are really cool. So it had some really cool things. It had some things that were kind of boring and repetitive. But if you got past the boring and repetitive part, which is basically carrying packages everywhere, the story, which is Hideo Kojima on the story, but the environments and the cool things that happen within the game are definitely well worth playing through, I think. But yeah, so it's pretty cool. What do you think, Shane?
I'm still pretty flabbergasted. And you're right. I thought Sony had some sort of a right to the game. Now they most likely they had a publishing hand in it, and that part of that was to be exclusive to Sony. And they're probably just not allowed to put it on another console for a while. So, hopefully we can see a little more love like that from games that, are exclusive-ish to Microsoft, to Sony. But yeah, I was definitely surprised to see it, coming to Game Pass, PC specifically. It does make you wonder why they didn't put it on Xbox. I know it's not a tech, thing, but it's probably just a legality thing. They're not allowed to use, not allowed to put it on a console for another 2 years, some BS like that. Which, that's part of the gaming world. I mean, exclusive rights, temporary rights, things like that happen all the time. The director's cut, though, it added nothing quality of life, truly quality of life, some smoother graphics, the PS5 haptic feedback, stuff like that. Those things. Plus, they added little bonus stuff like, I believe there's a racetrack in it. Now there's different vehicles. There's like a man cannon and, silly things like that. So, I don't think you really need it to get what the game is about. I'm not very far into it since I never played it originally on the PS4. I borrowed your special collector's edition for the PS5. So I'll give that a try when I can. I would love to. And one, I didn't know 505 had anything to do with this game. But it was all about Kojima and Sony. Everybody, that's where their heads were at. So that's all I remember. So 505 was kind of a surprise. Was 505 originally for connected to the PlayStation version? Because I don't.
From what I've seen, it was published by 505. I would have to look at my original disc to see for sure, but because I could have swore it was Sony. One thing I will put in here is I did find this update that Sony had no involvement with Death Stranding releasing on PC Game Pass. So Sony does own the intellectual property and funding of the development of the title. Matters relating to the PC release of Death Stranding are managed by Kojima Productions and 505 Games, according to a spokesperson. So Sony was not involved in this promotion, which seems odd. Like, again, you're kind of talking about how, I guess it depends on the back end. Like, how does the publisher and the developer, even though Sony owns the intellectual property, how are they able to, what type of negotiations or something like that go in on the back end in order for them to do something like this, to publish it onto PC? Or for Xbox Game Pass, I would assume that Sony gets a cut of this revenue that it's going to generate or something like that. I'm not sure how that works, especially since if they own it, how can the publisher take it and say, okay, we're going to take your IP and put it over here, right? Without your say so. I'm not sure how that all works.
Maybe it might just be something to do with console only. I mean, they own the rights to the console version only. So
true,
they
and the game is
cannot
already out
push.
on PC, so it's on Steam. So maybe it's not that big of a deal. Plus, it's not the director's cut, right? Maybe Sony's more cares more about the director's cut version, than they do the original.
They care about reselling it for another $70. I mean, that's for damn sure.
Right.
So, but yeah, I would like to know some of the ins and outs of that. We'll have to check in on that a little bit more because I know a lot of people will be like, "What the hell?" And is there a possibility we can get something else out of this? I mean, if Sony has more deals like this, maybe we can see more, Sony games on PC Game Pass.
Yeah, maybe we can see they have what, God of War and Spider-Man. Maybe Spider-Man and God of War might be next on the Xbox PC Game Pass. Wouldn't that be something?
That would be awesome. But I think Sucker Punch is actually owned by Sony, aren't they?
They are, but I mean, it's Sony could strike a deal with, because if depending on how Xbox is doing it, if they're paying publishers or developers like a certain guaranteed amount, right? We've talked about this before. Like you'd say you put it on Game Pass, or if you were to put it out on the street, you're guaranteed to from your from the financial analytics that you've put it out there, you think you're going to make X amount of dollars. Well, we'll pay you Y amount of dollars to put it onto PC Game Pass. So Sony could go to Microsoft and say, hey, we'll put Spider-Man on your Xbox Game Pass if you give us X amount. And then they go, okay, cool. There you go.
And throw in some Call of Duty.
And maybe like a certain percent of royalties or something like that. Right. And okay.
It only benefits both of them. I mean, exclusives are good to a point. They are. I mean, that's what sells consoles. That's what can help sell consoles, I should say. It's not, I don't buy Xbox or PlayStation exclusively for exclusives, but I only play exclusives really on my PlayStation, so it's kind of like I do. But if they can do a little cooperation, you might see me play PlayStation more. And I think the game developers, console makers, I think they should be a little more cooperative, especially Sony. They don't want to play nice with others. They don't want to play with others. So this is a good sign that maybe, if they had any legalities in it, maybe they're like, yeah, sure, we'll just take 20% or some crap like that. I don't know. But I would definitely like to know more about how this all happened, because that's just really odd, because it just literally popped up in a news article, and it's like not even a week later. It's like, holy crap, But, hey, let's find out. It probably fired up, and you'll have to pay for a minute or something like that, and Sony gets it all. I don't know. But you got anything else on this?
The only last thing I want to say is you're exactly right. Sony wasn't about to play ball, before. They were all about tradition. And I think once they started putting their games on PC, they realized that, hell, we can make a lot of money doing this, right? And so that's why you're seeing a lot more Sony titles coming to PC, right? A lot of their bigger titles are also coming to PC. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see, and I've said this before, if we don't see a Sony PC launcher, and if we don't see more down the line, maybe a year or maybe even 2 years down the line, but we don't see that Sony's, just like Microsoft's, Sony's day and date games, even their exclusives, coming directly to Sony and PC at the same time, just like Microsoft does.
Now, Sony hasn't been known to, let's say, backstep on a lot of things they have said. They said PlayStation games will never go to PC. Well, we found out that's a bunch of crap. PlayStation first-party games, I can't remember the exact quote, but basically it said If we were to do day and date on the first party games, the games would lose their. They wouldn't be as good essentially. Uh, that's horse crap. That's all about money. But I think you're right. I think at the path they're taking, they see how well this is working for Microsoft. Microsoft is doing a hell of a lot better than they did in the previous generation, and I mean a hell of a lot. Even doing better in Japan right now, and that's sad that they can call that better, but it's still better. So I could see Sony doing that. I don't see it for a while though. I think as long as Sony has a healthy lead, which they have right now, but it's definitely getting tighter and tighter. I mean, Microsoft has outsold them on consoles a few times already this year. So, but I would like to see them do day and dates, and maybe play, maybe have them both play a little more ball together. Nintendo and Microsoft play ball. Sony should get in there and play ball. Hell, I'll buy them a ball. Just play ball.
Right. Well, I mean, like, and the reason why I say day and date for their exclusives or their day one releases for PC is because unlike their subscription service, that's kind of what they were talking about when you were talking about like them saying the degradation of the is putting them day and date on their subscription service and out on the PlayStation. But in this way, if they're putting them on PC and PlayStation, the people that buy them on PC more than likely don't own a PlayStation, right? And vice versa. So now they're just now and PC is just a neutral market. So now they can there is a gap between whenever like God of War and on console versus God of War on PC releases and Spider-Man and so on and so forth. I think you'll see that gap shorten to the point where when God of War 3 comes out on PlayStation, it will also come out on PC at the same time. Because now I think once they've gotten that money, right? Because at the end of the day, they're a business. They're all about profit. So they've seen that, because usually when Sony releases one of their titles on Steam, it's usually number one, right? And the top sellers. It sits up there for quite a while. I know God of War sat up there for quite a while. Now Spider-Man's like up there at the top. And so Sony's just making bank on it. So why not, right? They're just getting the best of both worlds. The people that want to play it on PlayStation will buy it there. The people that want to play it on PC will buy it there. And they're just making money hand over fist. They don't need to worry about the exclusivity, right? They already have their fan base. They don't need to worry about traditions as much as long as they're making more money. And, Microsoft kind of saw that first off, right? They kind of saw that ahead of the game. And that's why they've been doing it for a while. And I think Sony's just realized they wanted to keep that tradition, and I respect them for that. But they realized that, hell, we can make more money if we just do this. And it doesn't seem to waver the fan base any. So let's make it more frequent,
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Tradition only holds up when monetary value is exceeding tradition. So, and you can't blame them. I mean, it's working really well for Sony. I mean, they get my monthly subscription for Game Pass Ultimate. I will probably fire it up on Game Pass when it releases just to check it out. I have it on the PlayStation because like I said, I borrowed yours. So I want to see this happen a little bit more. I want more of these surprises. These are good gaming surprises, not for Sony, not for Microsoft, but for the gamers, because now you have multiple options to play those big titles. If you don't have a PlayStation, you can't play God of War. You can't play Spider-Man. The new ones. But now you have the ability to. So, but my only worry is that going to hinder the console market at some point when people are just like, I can wait a week or I can wait a year, for, Spider-Man to come out, and then I can mod it. I'm the PC master race. I can, make it 10 times better than Sony did. I see that.
I don't think so.
I think if they keep it, fairly limited, I think it'll help prevent. But I think if they do that with all first party games, I think that's an issue. I think that's when we might find more problems than it's really needing to make. Because if you can get it here, why buy the Xbox? If you can get it here, why buy the PlayStation?
Well, I mean that goes for right now, right? That even comes for today. Not everybody owns a high-end PC that can play these games. A lot of people don't, right? And those people that, for me, from what I think, is that the people that do play on PC, that's all they play on, right? They might own a console, but they're gonna buy a game on PC regardless. And you know the old adage, the old saying from these developers like Sony and Microsoft, they don't make money on the console sales. They make money on the software and the hardware or the accessories and various things of that nature and the subscription services, right? Hardware is not really a moneymaker for them. And because they take a big hit to keep the price down on that. And then they make their money up by software sales and stuff like that. So I think for Sony and for Microsoft, they really don't care where they sell it to you as long as you buy it, right? Regardless if it's on a console or on PC. But I think those people that are console players, because there's people out there that just own the consoles. They don't own a high-end PC. PCs are expensive, and they're also expensive to maintain. So, usually for most people, they might have, like for us, like we have a gaming PC, but we don't have one that we sit there and maintain. After 10 years, you might still have the same rig that you had before. But those deep into the PC game are going to have their rig updated every year or 2 years, right, to keep up with the market. Whereas, me and you, we're mainly console gamers. So we're going to buy the new hardware, but we're not going to really, even though we do enjoy playing on our PCs, and we're going to try to upgrade them once in a while, it's not as often as PC gamers are going to. And I think there's a lot of people out there like that usually just own a PC or they just own a console, and that's pretty much it. So I think you're going to hit those people regardless of where you go.
Well, I don't know. I guess we're just going to have to find out and see what happens. If this is going to be a more frequent thing, which I kind of like, but it also worries me. So, you got anything else before we shut this PC down? All right. Again, guys, thanks for listening. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit those notifications because we got videos out all the time, and we will see you next time. See ya.